student, very good morning to all of you. Dear student, okay. So, dear student, very good morning to all of you. Today we are going to see about 17th July. We are going to see about 17th July, the Hindu newspaper analysis. So here I'm going to explain about application of each and every articles, whether that is whether they are going to ask something related to your prelims or something related to your mains, and which point you are going to use in which part of your mains or prelims application. So I'm going to discuss more of application part of your this newspaper and how you can get this newspaper. You can scan this QR code to download our application. From there you'll find a premium infographics. You can use that to get this PDF, not the today PDF, but past PDF available there. So those who are using iOS or iPad, you can simply scan this, you should simply download the Class Plus application, and use the OR code PKRMEJ to get this PDF. And you can also join our Telegram. There you'll get a lot of PDF. Okay, चलिए start करते हैं. So government merged 36 came to float farm program. So recently government merged multiple schemes to implement a single scheme. So that is what called PM Dhan Dhanya Krishi Yojana, announced in the budget earlier this year, aim to increase the agricultural productivity, sustainable practices, and annual outlay of 24,000 crore for 6 years. So you can see what is the significance of this scheme. The Union Cabinet Wednesday approved the Prime Minister Dhan Dhanya Krishi Yojana, or this is जिसको हम बोलते हैं PMDDKY, to enhance the agricultural productivity and increasing adoption of sustainable agricultural practices across the country. So whenever you are talking about anything related to sustainable agricultural practices or increasing the productivity of agriculture, you can write all these points in your mains examination. In prelims, they can ask about what are the provision of Pradhan Mantri Krishi Dhan Dhanya Yojana. So I have already put in box, so you can note down them. Center head merged 36 scheme of 11 ministry into Pradhan Mantri Dhan Dhanya Krishi Yojana, which will be outlay of 24,000 per year for 6 years. This scheme will help 1.7 crore farmer. So next is the scheme aim to augment the post-harvest storage at the panchayat and block level. So what happening, during after production, lack of storage led to the damage to all our production. For example, tomato may get spoiled, or potato may get damaged because of lack of storage. If we have good quality of storage, then it can be stored for long period of time and farmer can get good amount of return. The next is improving the irrigation facility and facilitating availability of long-term, short-term credit. So these are the few objectives. The scheme will be implemented through convergence of 33 existing scheme across 11 department, other state scheme. So local partnership with the private sector. So 11 district will be identified based on the 3 indicator of low productivity, low cropping intensity, and less credit disbursement. So this 100 district will be identified, and that is here will implement. The scheme is modeled as for the aspirational district program. So then it is your homework. You have to study about aspirational district program. So I'll give you daily 10 to 15 homework. So after completion of this video, please go through, go to internet and do some, study of that and make some note of it. And it is my promise, if you follow that, you'll get 20 to 30 marks extra in pre and 80 plus marks in your main. So please follow it very rigorously. You'll get a result at the end. Okay. So aspirational district program of the center. So first of its kind scheme will be focused on exclusively on agriculture and allied sector. So here already given all the crux of everything. So just read it out. So here it is given crux. You can note them out. So that is very important for your examination. So only 6.85% of the voter yet to be submit form in Bihar. This is what said by the Election Commission. Recently, there is a special intensive revision. This is what called SAR is going on in Bihar. And the main objective is to verify and inclusion of those who are rightful beneficiary and exclusion of the bogus voter. That is being going on in Bihar. But there are allegations that this is being implemented in a hasty, without proper arrangement, without proper time, in a very short span of time. So that might lead to the exclusion of the rightful beneficiary. Okay? So that is what the acquisition. So just this is what the data that is being given. It is so that though there are concern, but large number of people have already submitted their forms. And dear student, in 2026, you know that after prelims and your mains, hardly 75 days is left. So it is better to start answer writing from now onward. You can join our answer writing program. So price is very nominal, yet you'll get high quality evaluation by either those who have given an interview or UPSC selected candidates. So you'll get high quality evaluation at very nominal price. So you can simply scan this QR code to join it. Okay. So next is the Supreme Court says the academic facing probe over the Sindur post can continue his writing. So I don't think it is much important. You can just skip it, but just knowing that heading of that. So NDRF personnel patrol on the boat near to the submerged, Prayagraj, there is a, because of flooding in the Ganga River. So just know about NDRF. So this is a force that is being established under the National Disaster Management Act 2005. So under this act, it is provided for establishment of NDRF. So there are currently 12 you can say company of NDRF. So they are mostly drawn from the all the central police armed police forces. They can be CAPF. This 12 company, they can be either from CAPF, they can be either from BSF. Okay, so they all contribute to form a 12 company of National Disaster Response Force. So their main responsibility is to deal with whenever there is a severe disaster that is happening any part of the world. So next is Rahul and Khadge wrote to the Modi for restoring statehood to the Jammu and Kashmir. So Jammu and Kashmir after removal of the Article 370, so it was converted and was converted to a union territory. And later on, the government made a promise that it will make Jammu and Kashmir an independent state. So leader of opposition, Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha, Mallikarjun Kharge and Rahul Gandhi respectively wrote a joint letter to the Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Wednesday, pressing for a restoration of statehood to the Jammu and Kashmir. No, and for past 5 years, the people of Jammu and Kashmir consistently called for restoration of full statehood because if we have an elected government and in a democracy we need to give in complete control of the people. Okay? That is their demand. So the demand is both legitimate and firmly grounded on the constitutional and democratic right. Yes, the democratically elected government should have right and should have say in this process. So next, the letter referred to the Supreme Court assertion that statehood should be restored to the Jammu and Kashmir at earliest as soon as possible. Even the Supreme Court also said that we need to provide separate statehood to the Jammu Kashmir. Even the and the Prime Minister also in the Parliament also mentioned that they need to restore the statehood. So Congress leader question this center bring legislation including Union Territory of Ladakh. So also Congress also demand inclusion of Ladakh in the sixth schedule. So dear student, you have to study about the sixth schedule. So what are the protection provision of the sixth schedule? Why Ladakh is demanding for inclusion of sixth schedule? And what is the difference between fifth schedule versus sixth schedule? So you have to study all these things. So they can be very important. Okay. And we are also providing this analysis in our current affair, daily current affair. You can get that in our application. Download the QR code given here. So this would be a significant step towards protection of the culture, developmental and political aspiration people of Ladakh. Okay. And dear students, those who are writing mains this year, you can scan this QR code to join our courses. So it is only 4,000 rupees and it is completely flexible. You can write question of your choice. It can write, a day of your choice. You can write either full length, half length as per your wish. So we'll evaluate and give it back to you. So after 12 year of exile, 29 tribal family returned to home in Gujarat. So why they have removed from that? Because they have a traditional practice that is what called Chado Taru. That is what called Chado Taru, in which the victim hold to the dead body till the suspect admit and compensate for the loss. That means any case of any dead, so that person, the victim have to. So this is what very regressive practice. Victim hold the dead body till the suspect admit or compensate for the loss. So it's very you can say regressive practice. So because of that, for 12 years, 29 family from the Kodavari community, totaling around 300 family, leave exile after they are forced out of their ancestral village because of old age custom of Chado Taru. So traditional rooted in the vengeance. So you can see here. So if any family member is died, so they have to hold that body until the suspect admit or compensate for the loss. So this story is, you can note them. So next is IIT Madras unveil new 8.5 wheelchair that enable independence. So, now it's a very lightweight and it's a military grade, or you can say aircraft grade. So that means it can be easily carried and it is very lightweight. So it make more portable as compared to other wheelchair. So this is what very important. So you can say how innovation is changing. So you can talk about that. And dear student, we are providing year-long Dronacharya year-long mentorship program. If you are interested, you can simply scan this QR code to join. So you'll get guidance, interview of your faculty. So that your preparation became very much smooth. And we are also providing OPSC test series. If you want, you can scan this QR code to join it. So next is another Kerala resident test positive for the Nipah virus. So, so dear student, I'm expecting a case study in Nipah virus in UPSC ethics paper. So because Nipah virus is quite in news, so they might ask about, let's say you are the DM of a particular area, and in that area, so Nipah virus is spreading very rapidly. So how you are going to tackle that spread of the Nipah virus? So while you are suggesting, so you need to be very much, implementation of law. You need to talk about compassion approach, because your strict enforcement can create a lot of trouble for the weakened section of the society. So you have to balance everything and give a very good answer. So next is Yamuna pollution in Delhi stretch spike in June, say report. So we know that Yamuna River is quite polluting. So the pollution level in Yamuna River stretch in Delhi increased in June compared to the previous month, according to the Delhi Central Pollution Control Board. So 54-kilometer stretches of the Yamuna is one of the most polluted river stretches in the country. Over the past 3 decades, the Supreme Court and National Green Tribunal passed several order directing authority to clean the river. So dear student, here is a term called NGT, National Green Tribunal. So dear student, you know that NGT is established under 2010 NGT Act. So it is basically environmental, you can say bench, basically deals with all the cases of environmental related issue. And NGT is having 5 benches. So it is located in a different part of the India. It is in one is Nagpur, one is Chennai, Kolkata, then one is at the Delhi, and one is at the Bhopal. So 5 benches are there. So in case of any cases or any appeal from the NGT, the appeal lies is the not the High Court, it is the Supreme Court. Okay. So more you have to study about detail about the NGT. So they can ask a question regarding NGT also. So next is about the level of fecal coliform, the microbe from the human and animal excreta and biological oxygen demand have increased. So in the Yamuna recently, so biological oxygen demand is amount of dissolved oxygen consumed by microorganism to decompose the organic matter. A higher BOD implies greater the pollution. So if biological oxygen demand, that is BOD, is high, that means more pollution. Okay. So next is Kerala permit local body to euthanize the disease stray dog. That means if any dog is suffering from any disease or disabled, so Kerala local body can kill that dog by using some some medicine or like that. So Kerala government has decided to allow the local body to carry out euthanasia of uh, disease stray dog by making use of provision of the prevention cruelty to the animal rule. So this provide for if a dog or any animal suffering from severe disease, so we can kill that by using euthanasia. So after high level meeting, so this decision is taken. Okay. So next important news is the stranded UK fighter jet likely to be moved out of next week. So we know that there is a F-35 fighter jet of UK, Royal British Navy. So they have landed in Kerala due to some technical problem, and after that it is not able to take off. So it is staying in the hangar given by the Thiruvananthapuram airport. But now the inspection or technical team from the UK, they have arrived and they have refueled it, so it might shift to the their base also. So next is the Andhra Pradesh CM 6 center support to set up world class badminton training center. So why it is important and how it is important? They go, in India we have 30 states, 30 state, and UT also. So if let's say sports, so you can imagine around 40 sports we can do very good or excellence in the international level. Just like you can see Odisha government supported hockey. And after 39 years, we have seen India got first Olympic medal in the hockey. So same thing, if we support and you nurture each and every state, so they can emerge as a hub of particular sport. So India can do excellence at the Olympic and international sporting events. So Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister N. Chandrababu Naidu met Youth Ministry, Minister of Youth and Sports Affairs Mansukh Mandaviya, and second day of his visit. So urging him to extend support for setting up world-class badminton training center in capital of Amravati. Okay, so you should not talk about only about this. So this is a key classic example. Each state in India should adopt one sports as a model state. Just imagine. Let's say we're talking about Andhra Pradesh. Let's say whenever any badminton player playing at the international level, there will be logo that is depicting the Andhra Pradesh. So people all over the world, they will understand there is a state called Andhra Pradesh. So they will visit that now. So it will also promote the footprint of the state at the international level. So we will attract a lot of tourists. So that is the reason. So every state need to promote one sports. So we'll shift to the last phase. So Russia press with strike defying Trump warning. So recently Trump issued a warning for additional sanction against the Russia for carrying out battle in the Ukraine. But Russia simply defied and go ahead with the strike. So next, USA to build repair sites for Philippines near disputed sea. So USA Navy will construct two facilities for repair and maintenance of Philippine military boat provinces facing South China Sea. So dear student, please map the South China Sea. So how you are going to map the South China Sea? Simply open the Google Earth. Here type the South China Sea. You can see. So here it is South China Sea. Whenever there is any location, anything, simply map it. So you'll understand a lot of things. Okay? So next. So where the confrontation between Philippine and Chinese postcard having flare off. So Palawan faced the dispute South China Sea. So you can also check the Palawan also na. Check here Palawan. There you go. Here it is given Palawan na. So by using this Google Earth, you can find a lot of good things. So please make use of everything. Okay. Palawan. So US is planning to make Palawan face the disputed South China Sea, which Beijing claim virtually its entirety and the headquarters of the Philippine Military Western Command. So here it is very important because in past also UPSC asked a lot of questions regarding all this mapping, all this area where there's a lot of tension going on. So this can be a potential tension in future. So you need to map everything. So US military has separated, constructed waterhouse, barracks, other facility, 9 Philippines military camp where rotating batches of American forces can stay and store weapon under the defense pact. So there is a defense pact that is exist between the USA and Philippine, so that there is a mutual defense pact. So USA can deploy their soldier, and in return, USA will ensure that the Philippines will not be attacked by any other country. Okay. So next is a draft purchase norms pit local telco against the foreign farm making in India. So recently, what happened? Government released a draft purchase norm that allow foreign manufacturer having certain component that is being manufacturing in India, they should allow to be participate in the bidding process. So some of our Indian companies, they are in concern that by allowing that, so it might destroy our local production of all these electronic items. So just read that. It is very much important. So you'll understand it. Okay. So next is government clamping down on dumping and import surge. So what is dumping? So whenever let's say China, let's say selling a car in their domestic at 10 lakh, let's say 10 lakh yuan. So they are selling 10 lakh yuan in their domestic home, but they are selling 8 yuan, let's say 8 lakh yuan in India. So that means they are selling it low price in India just to capture the market. So that is what called dumping. So here it is given the definition of dumping. Dumping refer to practice of exporting goods to other country, including to India, at price below their normal rate. So to prevent dumping, we have established Director General of Trade Remedies. So in case of any country having dumping, we can file a complaint in Director General of Trade Remedies. And after, if Director General of Trade Remedies found that there is a real dumping is exists, so in that case there can be anti-dumping duty. Anti-dumping duty means will charge some duty so that to make the price of that commodity, whatever they are very low, should be equivalent to that of our domestic manufacturing. So Ministry of Commerce has begun using various department under Director General of Foreign Trade and Director General of Foreign Trade Remedies to clamp down import surge and dumping of India going to the malpractice by Indian trading partner. So if let's say China is dumping their product in Indian market, so that will damage our market. Our producer will not able to meet that level of low price. So ultimately it will damage our industry. So that is what the concern. Okay, so Director General of Trade Remedies last year initiated anti-dumping investigation on 8 different countries originating 12 country. Once their investigation found that yes, this country are doing dumping, then we can impose then the anti-dumping duty to make their product. Let's say it is 10 lakh yuan, lakh yuan in China. So will if they are selling let's say 8 lakh yuan, so we'll add 3 lakh is a dumping duty. So the total price is 11 lakh yuan. And if you look into India, so we might, this 11 lakh might be competitive with Indian market so that it will not cause any damage to our local EV. So next is NIPL add 3 more banks in the UPI pay list. Now a linkage to ease the remittance. So National NPCI International Payment Limited, international arms of the National Payment Corporation of India. So dear student, we have to study about NPCI. NPCI is a Section 8 company. Section 8 is company of the Company Act. So that means it is not for profit. So basically the NPCI is formed by, all these major banks. So they have funded collaboratively to form a NPCI. And main role of the National Payment Corporation of India is to design products so that it will improve the customer outcome, improve the digitalization so that their transaction cost can be reduced. So recently to promote the UPI at the international or NPCI at the international, NPCI International Payment Limited has been established. So next important article is, renew optimism in Canada-India ties, economic ties, business council leader. So recently we have seen after, during G7 meeting, so Prime Minister Narendra Modi was invited by the Canadian Prime Minister. So after that, we have seen that there is a re-energize of our relationship. Even Canada recognized the significance of India. So if you see about the statement at that time, so it demonstrates a strategic recognition of India, growing global economic importance. The PM Karne tone and early action have re-established some trust on India. So no, that business community see this as an opportunity to rebuild and grow commercial relationship and hopefully finally sign early progress of trade agreement. So now we are negotiating trade agreement with the Canada, European Union. So if everything goes well, so we can expect a trade deal. So this year, the investment from the Canada into India, both direct and indirect, is about Canadian dollar 100 billions. So still untapped opportunity to explore and with complementary strength like agri-food, energy, education, and these are the area where India can collaborate with Canadian counterpart to improve the win-win for everyone. So new NCERT book explain how colonial power stole India's wealth. So it is clearly the new NCERT book that is being published. It is morely emphasizing on how the European or British they exploit the wealth of India. So the Industrial Revolution in Britain, which required investment, was made possible by at least partly by the stolen wealth from the India. To build or to have the Industrial Revolution that is being established, need a lot of money. And the money they are getting from the plunder and the exploitation or stolen money from the India. So the general thrust of Britain dominance India was plunder. So main intention for occupying. Thank you, Dr. Hare Krishna. So dear Hare Krishna, your actually comment really motivate me to provide more important content. So dear student, we'll make sure that gradually we'll live our classes before the 8 a.m. so that I know if you able to complete the infographics edition as well as this discussion before 8 a.m. So that is going to be a lot of helpful for all of you. Thank you once again. Thank you, Dr. Hare Krishna Krish. So the general thrust of the Britain dominance in India was to plunder, exploitation, trade dominance, imposition of the education. So they are here for doing all these things. So they are not here for, as the British, some historians say that they are here for civilization and improving. So their main intention is that. So administrative and judicial system. So next, the modern England has been, you can see here, the modern England has been made by the Indian wealth. Wealth always taken by the might and skill, a skill of the stronger. So a recent estimate, just note them down. So whenever you are talking about, there is a very good topic called drain of wealth. So whenever you are talking about drain of wealth in your modern history, you can refer to this, whatever I have put in books. So very important for that. A recent estimates, the wealth extracted out of India given by the Indian economist Usta Patik in period 1765 to 1938, 45 trillion. That is 13 times the Bhutan GDP. So you can imagine. So 45 trillion, 13 times the GDP of you can talk about, it is about 10 times the GDP, 10 to 15 times the GDP of India also. So that much of money they have extracted, this wealth remain in India, it would have been very different country when it attained the independence. Okay? So so in India, it is common to find that colonial period portray as a positive one. So British bring industries, railways, telegraph, modern education, so on. We have tried to correct this perspective by showing that what really happened, the destruction of Indian indigenous industry and educational system, enormous revenue extraction from Indian population to finance the railway and telegraph. Okay? So of course, we also shown other side of opening of India to the world Europe. So whenever you are talking about drain of wealth, you need to talk about trillion that is being extracted from India. While at the same time, if there is a question, what is the impact? What are the impact of you can say British rule in India? You have to talk about both sides. Like while on the one hand they have exploited, extracted everything. On the other hand, they have definitely established something like industry, railway, telegraph. So later on, we have utilized that for further development. Okay. So next important, the chapter on Maratha. So new NCERT book also included some chapter on the Maratha. Okay? So next important issue is, so it is a very important article, the share of the clean energy in electricity still below 30%. So I think you know that yesterday there is India able to very recently India able to achieve 50% of installed capacity. Remember the word installed capacity. That means if we have total, like means we have total capacity of, uh, uh, let's say just I'm giving a hypothetical 100 gigawatt. That means out of that 50% from not renewable, non-fossil fuel. That means 50 gigawatt from non-fossil fuel. So that is what we have achieved. But what is the problem? Though we are achieved 50% or 50% of power from you can say fossil fuel, but they are actually generating power from this non-fossil fuel is less than 30%. That means though we have installed a lot of power, but majority of them are not met by the non-fossil fuel, but majority of them are still met by coal power. So this is what the importance of the article. While India installed capacities hit the 50% clean energy sources, have a lower capacity utilization factor. That means whatever the renewable energy we have, we are not able to utilize fully. They are not running on their full capacity. The flexibility in grid and improved battery storage are way forward to address this now. So to address that, we need to have flexibility. We need to have battery storage. So India has achieved a landmark in its energy transition journey by reaching 50% of its installed electricity capacity from non-fossil fuel sources, 5 years ahead of the target. So we are supposed to achieve these targets by 2030. That is 50% of our energy from non-fossil fuel. Okay, but we have achieved in 2025, 5 years ahead of the targets. But in 2024, the share of renewable energy resources such as wind, solar, biomass, hydroelectric, nuclear constitute 30% of Indian installed electric capacity. No, once it is used to be 30, now it is 50%. So experts say that despite the rise in clean energy, the slower increase in utilizing, though we have huge amount of installed capacity, but we are not able to utilize that. Let's say there is a thermal, this is a solar power plant with capacity 100 gigawatt, but it is not giving 100 gigawatt during daytime. It is giving around 30 gigawatt. Then only we can say capacity utilization is only 30%. Okay, that is what most problem that we are facing. So capacity utilization factor measuring how much availability energy was usable. So solar has capacity utilization factor of 20%, wind is 25 to 30, compared to coal is having 60%, nuclear is having 80%. So you can understand what is the problem with our system. So, and still we are depending on the coal. So 70% of energy mix still depends on. That is the reason India is always opposing, or there is a demand in the climate summit, climate talks, phase out phase out of the coal. That means removing coal. India is staunchly opposes, because still now 75% of our energy coming from the coal. So if you remove that, so it will create grid instability. So easing demand on the coal during the daytime. So this is what the problem. So then next, how we are going to improve that? To improve the solar utilization, we need to flexibility in the grid. So we need to invest in the smart grid, so that grid can be more flexible. It can be adjusted very fast. So next is improving battery storage. So during daytime we can recharge our battery, and during night time we can use that. Right now we pay the same unit of electricity both the day and night, so we can change that. We can make sure that during availability of sufficient electricity, we can person need to pay very less. Just like I think the Reliance, before that they have given the calling of night free calling. So same thing, in night we can impose higher electricity charge, and the day, because of solar is available, we can impose low, so that people can use more electricity in the daytime. Okay. So if they, let's say if in daytime, let's say I'm giving an example, daytime electricity charges is 2 rupees per unit, but in night time, if electricity charge is 6 rupees per unit, because at that time solar is not available. So what people will do, say they will invest in the inverter na. So they will store their battery, and that will use to run their appliances like fan in the night na. So ultimately that is reduce the consumption of coal power plant, and it will reduce the pollution also na. So instead of establishing a big storage, battery storage, we can decentralize, so that household can do that. So next is whether night or day. So much like the early days of telecom, when night call were cheaper, we need to experiment with the differential power tariff during days. This will require smart grid and better management. So an increasing hybrid power project that can combine solar, wind, and hydro storage elements with the mid growing peak round the clock demand. Take what happened. So if this is a solar power plant, so solar power plant will not work during cloudy and when sun is not there. But let's say here there is a windmill also. So during cloud season, so there is high wind, so wind will run. So if you combine and single grid will produce, so around the clock, that means 24 into 7 will get electricity. So that is more reliable as compared to single unit. That is what talking about. So that is what the main objective of hybrid power plants. So when paired with the battery storage, this hybrid storage can surplus energy released during peak demand. So let's say what we are going to do. This is a solar and this is a wind. And what we'll do, we'll combine and have a battery storage also. So that means it can directly supply to the grid, and battery storage can also supply when there is no power available. So the flexibility of renewable energy, we can simply remove that. No? So next important article is about parliamentary panel to finalize report on income tax bill. So recently there is a proposal to make our income tax law very simple, very simplistic, that is less prone to the litigation. So the select committee of parliament examining income tax bill is planned to have finalized the report and about 285 suggestions to the changes to the legislation. So Union Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman announced in 2024 budget that center will comprehensively review the Income Tax Act in a time-bound manner to make concise, easy to understand. Current Income Tax Act, that is what called IT Act, is 1961. So it is very old, and it is being amended multiple number of times. So that is the reason it is, it is very difficult for common man it's to understand, and it is prone to litigation. So to make a simple law, we are doing that. So according to the Indian Income Tax Bill has been prepared with process to repeal and replace the Income Tax Act 1961. Okay. So the statement of object and reason of the bill. So Income Tax Act pass has been subjected to numerous amendments since it is passes. So because of that, there are too much changes. So it is complex. It is very difficult to understand for the common man. Complex language. As a result of the changes, so basic structure of the income tax has been overburdened and language has been complex, increasing cost of compliance for the taxpayer, hampering efficiency of the administration of the tax. So I think just I need to highlight it. So these are actually very important points. Also raise concern about the complicated provision. So if there is a very good question about the mains, what are the challenges that government is facing to ease of doing business? So you can write one point is about the complex taxation law, now particularly direct taxes. In that direct taxes, you can talk about all these things. Now, in newspaper, we are getting a lot of important news, but thing is that we are not able to understand what should we read and what should we leave. So that is the reason, despite studying 3 hours, you are not getting exact thing. So it is my duty. I'll tell you how you are going to use. So if they ask about, what kind of reform in our income tax act, you can talk about that. If you are they are talking about, how to promote ease of doing business, you can talk about making our taxation system very simple. One of that is by having reform in the direct taxes. Na? So next is Manipur. Manipur get a new chief secretary. President rule may be extended in the states. So in president rule may be extended once again in the Manipur. So we know that Manipur is currently going on the presidential rule. Post violence, there is a severe violence going on, and the government at that time they resigned, and that led to the imposition of the president rule. So amid likelihood of an extension of the president rule in Manipur, so center on Wednesday appoint a new IS officer as a chief secretary. No need to remember this name, just understand what is going on the context. The fourth, so that is also not important. So Manipur was placed under the president rule in February. So Manipur Legislative Assembly is under suspended animation. So dear student, from here it can be a very good question. So it can ask a very good question. Let's say there is a president rule is being imposed in a particular state. So after imposition of the president rule, so whether the legislative assembly should be suspended, or it should be kept animated, or it should be dissolved. So you have to understand it. It should not be dissolved. It should be kept suspended, animated. So that is what given by the Supreme Court. Okay. So president rule under Article 356 of the Constitution enforce through the governor office typically lasts 6 months and can be extended every 6 months with approval of parliament up to 3 years. So you have to remember this exact wording because these are very important for your prelims and mains. Okay. So you have to remember the exact wording. So I'm just putting it in box so that it is most helpful to all of you. Okay. So next is the ethnic violence. The ethnic violence between the Kuki-Zo and Meitei people, which erupted on May 2023, claiming 250 peoples and displaced 60,000 people. So because of that, Manipur in a state of flux. So there is a violence, counter violence that is going on. So though the security forces have opt anti-recovery of the looted police weapons since president rule was imposed, no progress has been made on opening of the national highway for free movement of vehicle, highway 2 and 36. So if you look, this is the Imphal Valley. And this road is moving like that. Here, this road is controlled by Kuki. So here it is Meitei. So Kuki is not allowing any movement of the bus. So because of that, the Meitei community, they are cut off from the main society. So which landlocked landlocked Imphal Valley to the Nagaland and Assam respectively are critical for supplying essential and other commodity passes through the area inhabited by the Kuki-Zo people. So Meitei people who live in the valley have also not been able to access to the highway since violence began. So that means, Meitei people, they don't have any access to this highway or national highway. So next important news of the day. So Pakistan drone failed to do any damage during the Operation Sindoor. That is what said by our General Anil Chauhan. So the Chief of Defence Staff stated that So, he emphasizing the importance of indigenization. The weapon, let's say, what is the importance of indigenization? If all our weapons are indigenized, it is low cost, more effective. Why it is more effective? Because they are designed for Indian climate. Indian climate plus Indian adversary. Let's say if we are buying some weapon, let's say from Russia, but these weapons are designed to counter, let's say, Western country, but that might not work in a way we are designing. Next is we can modify and for example, if we are depending on the other countries, so they may impose restriction on us. Just like the USA weapon, there is a restriction, end user restriction, so there might be supply shortage. For example, during Russia Ukraine war, Russia is saying, facing supply shortage, so that led to the delay of delivery. So if everything is manufactured in India domestically, so we are not going to rely on others, so we can have self sufficiency, and our technology low cost, it can integrate it very fast. We can change the source code. For what happening in the Rafale case, in Rafale case, when we are asking for integration of our own missile, so Rafale, these they are not ready to share the source code. On the other hand, if you want to integrate something in our light LCA, light combat aircraft Tejas, we can easily do that because it is our own aircraft. We can modify anything. So indigenization of critical component currently being imported from the foreign original equipment manufactured in area of UAV, unmanned aerial vehicle, counter UAVs hosted by the headquarters. So you need to have an indigenous. Pakistan used drone, loitering munition. None of them inflict any damage to the military and civilian infrastructure. Most were neutralized through the combination of kinetic and non-kinetic. Some were recovered almost intact condition. So loitering ammunition means this is just like a drone, so this will fly and then fall on a particular area to destroy that. That is what called loitering ammunitions. So during his address, he emphasized need to achieve self-reliance in defense technology and warfare in the evolution time. So just read it out, you'll understand it better. Okay. So India seek US note to for cross production of Javelin missile. So Javelin is a, you can see here, it is a shoulder mounted anti-aircraft short-range missile. So India has submitted letter request of USA for co-production of Javelin anti-tank guided missile. So Javelin is one of the most advanced third generation ATGM anti-tank guided missile. So the considering India's strategic importance, particularly need to counter threat from the both Pakistan and China. So Javelin missile system, present a strong case for bolstering India's anti-tank capability. So why it is important? Because it is lightweight, looking at a shoulder fire. That means single person or two soldier can easily carry it and they can fire from their soldier, and less weight and can be carried in difficult terrain by troops without engaging too many of them carried out it. Okay. So it is a very lethal power, lightweight. It can be carry anyone, and it can be two-person can start firing of it. Na? Chali. So next important news is a tie in the region back in focus with PM visit to the Maldives. So recently our Prime Minister is going to visit the Maldives. So after that we can expect, first at the, you can say after recently we have seen a movement that is campaign India out campaign in the Maldives. After that our relation has been plunged to very low, and recently we have improved it, changed that course of relationship. Now our relationship with our neighbor is improving. So Modi to attend Independence Day celebration in Malay, July 2026. The plan also underway for a proposed visit to Delhi by the Nepal Prime Minister Oily, which will be first since took charge in 2024. So the ties with the neighboring will come back into focus next week with Prime Minister Narendra Modi will visit Malay for Independence Day celebration in Maldives. So the Modi is expected to travel UK to sign free trade agreement. So it's a very important now. We are going to sign free trade agreement with UK, maybe with Canada, maybe with USA. So there are so many negotiation of the free trade agreements. So next important is so it is expected to build launch of the digital payment system like UPI and mechanism to increase tourist arrival between the two countries. So our UPI unified payment interface became global. So there is a huge demand, a huge likeness among the people for adoption of that unified interface. So we might pitch to the Maldives for adoption of UPI. So Modi has also invited guests to the Independence Day parade by these Maldivians. So to mark their 60 year of Maldives getting independence from the Britain 1965. So Maldives was a British colony. So they have get independence after 1965. So they go. Sometimes student asking me how we are not able to remember all this date. They go. This is a significant date. 1965. What happened? India Pak War. So you can club all these events. India Pak war is going on at that point of time. Here it is Maldives independence. So you just need to link everything. Then only you can get a broader picture. No need to remember everything. You can use a schematic or something to remember like na. So ties between India and Maldives hit a rough patches over the India Out campaign that is being started by the Mauju back during its campaign. So boycott Maldives. So first India Out campaign is started in the Maldives, and after that there is boycott Maldives started by the Indians. After Maldives minister given a very wrong or racial comment against our prime minister. So that is the reason relation have been declined and the tourist footfall has been declined to the Maldives very rapidly. So after that, what happened? After that, India agreed to replace the military personnel stationed there. So we have provided an aircraft for their maritime safety, patrolling, and rescue operation. But Maldives requested that they need to, all these military persons should be replaced. So we have replaced the military person with engineers. So aircraft management with civilian engineer. India has also increased the line of credit. That means we are providing the credit to the Maldives for development from 470 crore to 600 crore in the budget. Okay. So India also extended need currency swap facilities. That means let's say if Maldives is facing less dollar, so they can swap with India. They can pay in the Maldives currency or Indian rupee, and India will pay them in terms of dollars. So that there will be no you can say BOP balance of payment crisis. So diplomatic sources further said that India is expected to host Nepalese Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli this month, and discussion are on. Support from the Nepal. So Oli is one of the first regional leader to condemn the terrorist attack. So whenever there is Belgaum attack happen, so first time we have received support from the KP Sharma Oil. India accommodate the Nepalese citizen while airlifting standard citizen from the Iran. So backdrop of the Iran-Israel conflict. So small steps actually they act as an aggregation because of our rescue of the Nepalese citizens. So that actually create a very good, will strong bond among the countries. Okay, चलिए आगे बढ़ते हैं. So next is every child free for adoption. 13 parent wait in the line. That means one child for 13 parent who are waiting for their adoption. So why this is happening. This is on the one hand we are having too much of you can say abandoned or orphan child. On the other hand there are too much of people are waiting for the adoption. Then the question lies in the complex procedure. It is taking too much time for identification and verification and completing all this process. So that is the reason, despite so many couple waiting for adoption process is not able to complete. So for year now, the Central Adoption Resource Authority, this is what called CARA. So CARA is a statutory body. It is a statutory body that is being established under the Juvenile Justice Care Protection Act. Juvenile Justice Care Protection Act 2019. So it established CARA. The country's nodal agencies for adoption struggles to effectively manage the adoption. While significant number of parents are willing to adopt, only a limited number of children are legally clear for the adoption. So though there are huge demand, so they are not able to meet the demand. Okay. A parliamentary panel called this imbalance as a paradoxical situation. On the one hand, there are huge amount of orphan children. On the other hand, they are waiting to adoption. Nah? The Supreme Court expressed displeasure over the time-consuming adoption process. So in 2021, around 27,000 prospective parent registering. But how many students are there? So it is children are there. It is only 2,400. So that means one adoption children, there are 13 parents are waiting for one children adoption. So the number of people opting for adoption substantially increased. Issues such as because of earlier only the infertile couple they are coming from the adoption, but now everyone is coming. So issues such as infertility are no longer only reason why parent consider adoption. So still in a country where estimated 3.1 crore children are orphan, according to the World Orphan Report. So if this much of people, kids are still orphan, so we need to fast track the process so that those who are orphan they can get at least a home, so that there is chances of reform of that kid. Now they are in the staying in the street, so they are more prone to the all these problems. So the Kara, if Central Adoption Resource Authority does not act soon, so delay increase the further coming year, the force parent to adopt the children illegally. So why people are involving in illegally when the system is very sluggish, not that fast, that force the parents to follow the illegal path. So here it is given Juvenile Justice Act list out the time bound procedure for child and childcare institutions to be declared legally free for adoption. Yet the status of implementation remain questionable. There's so many stakeholder on the ground. So just read them. As per parliamentary committee stated that the older children with special needs are usually not preferred for adoption parents. If children are beyond certain age, so parents don't prefer them because they feel that it's very difficult for them to socialize. Already they have socialized, and if they are disabled, so it's very difficult to adopt also. So moreover, the delay would also make it harder for the child as who has been institution so long, as well as adoption. So no longer waited time. So we need to take very fast action. We need to streamline that so that those who are in the waiting adoption, so they can get a home. Na? So next important article of the day, rethinking the reinforce one front war concept. So what happening here? So if you look into, there is a nexus that is being emerged. I'm just giving the India map, so please don't scale it. So here we are facing, here it is Pakistan, here it is China. So that means earlier we believe that two front war or one front war. So what happening now? Both China and Pakistan, they are acting together. So which is very dangerous for us. So China don't involve direct war with India, because China is involving with war with the USA, but China at the same time don't want India should not be, have peace at the border so that it can act as a challenge to the China. So China always want have to have a constant quarrel between, you can say about India and Pakistan, so that India will not able to achieve its growth, its potential in a constant state of war, and war is not good for any country. So China know that. So that is the reason recently in Operation Sindoor, we know that Chinese are not only supplying equipment, they are providing intelligence, they are providing the real-time intelligence about all the missile tracking, everything. And they just want to play with that game so that, India is constantly in a threat, constantly in war with the Pakistan, so that its economy is not able to challenge the China. So we need to learn that. We need to also find the fault point in the China also. Just like China is supporting Pakistan, we can find a country, we can arm them. Just like Philippines, we are supplying the BrahMos. We can also supply to you can say about Vietnam also. We can gradually improve our relations with the Taiwan also. If China is not concerning about our security, our sovereignty, so why should we concern about them? So we need to act just like that. So this article is talking about that. It is not about two front war. It is one front war with backing of the China. China don't want to involve, don't want to pay the cost of the war, but wants to always constantly involve India so that India cannot develop as a powerful that can be challenge the hegemony of China. So some game cheer. So India needs to diversify energy source to keep trade deficit flow. So recently we have seen our export is booming very fast. So we might cross the trade targets of previous year, but at the same time, if you know that we are importing more number of large amount of oil from the crude oil from the Russia. So and recently, because of change in geopolitics and Donald Trump is threatening to impose the sanction on the Russia, so that might impact our oil that might oil price. So India need to diversify its oil source with multiple countries, so in case of any disruption in one particular area, that is not going to impact our oil. And you know that 85% of oil requirement India we are importing. Okay, just read this article is talking about that only. So next is safe haven no more. So what this article is talking about, once in India, all our educational institute, all our family, they are used to be safe havens for the women. But now what happening? Recently, those who are, those who are in the safe haven, they are not yet safe. Recently, we have seen rape incident in Kerala, rape incident in all over the India, not about any particular location. Recently, first one is about not in Kerala, it's about West Bengal. Second one, Odisha, then Delhi. So all over India, we are seeing very rapidly spread of this, violence against the women. So that is a clear indication. So sexual violence in workplace and education institute is an worrying concern. So if you look into recent death of a student in Odisha after repeated sexual harassment, when the student and complain the principal and internal complaint committee, no one is listening, and instead of blaming the culprit, they blame the student. So when no option left, so the student self-immolate by of setting fire herself. So this is a very sad incident. When someone is taking their life, that means there is a wrong in our society, there is a wrong in our system. So here we have to understand how we are going to control that. So if you look into the post prevention of sexual harassment and working place act 2013, that is providing for establishment of internal complaint committee in all institutions, so that any sexual harassment from any person, they can file complaint to the internal complaint committee. Then this internal complaint committee do inquiry, and on the basis of recommendation, they can file FIR, they can take action, like they can remove the faculty or whatsoever they need to do, they need to do. And this internal complaint committee have the power of civil court. So, so this is what the happening, but we are not yet implemented properly. So you can see about Nirbhaya Ref case. So nothing much have changed. So though we have the Sexual Harassment at Workplace Act, but still maximum of the college school organization, they are not yet implemented properly. So if you look into the National Criminal Record Bureau, so around 4.5 lakhs cases of crime against women, they are increasing 4% every year. That is a clear reminder that we need to act very fast. We need to have comprehensive reform to bring about, reduce the violence against women. It is not only about the law, rules, regulation. We need to have all stakeholder approach. We need to changes everything. Okay. So a tectonic shift in thinking to build seismic resilience. So if you look into Indian map, India's seismic map, to be very precise, you will find that majority of our city like Delhi, they are located on the seismic 5 zone. Even north is also located. So in case of any earthquake, we are going to have severe, you can say, damage to our urban center. So we need to prepare, we need to retrofit our building, we need to make our designing more sustainable. We have seen how, Bhoj earthquake, Bhoj, I think Gujarat earthquake. We have seen the Gujarat earthquake, how it is devastating. We have seen Nepal earthquake. Okay. So in Himalayan region, last 40 year or 50 year, we haven't seen any severe disaster. So severe, you can say about the earthquake. So we can expect a very severe earthquake in this region. So which is going to be very devastating. So we need to retrofit all our building that is being constructed before 2000. So they are not yet follow the standard. So and in Delhi, so there are illegal construction, there are construction that not proper the proper, you can say, quality. So we need to ensure there should be proper way. Okay. So this article is about that, so just read it out. So you can add some point in your geography about management of earthquake. So fencing out the water in Bihar, whole role preparation. So you know that there is a special intensive drive is being going on. So to revise the voter in the Bihar. So it has been accused that the election commission published only 11 document that is being needed for identification of voter ID. So but these documents are not comprehensive. So that might lead to the exclusion of large number of people. So if you look into the power of election commission, you can see about Article 324 talking about constitution of empower election commission of superintendent direction and control of election. Article 326 talking about universal adult franchise. All elections to the parliament and state legislative assembly should be on the basis of universal adult franchise. And even the Representation of People Act RPA 50 also authorized to revise the role with special was provision whenever necessary. But whenever Supreme Election Commission of India acting, it should be act in a reasonable, it should be act in a just manner. It should not be act on a whims, fancies, or arbitrary manner. So this article is talking about that only. Just read it out, you'll understand. And there is a PIL that is being filed in the Supreme Court about the limited document, and Supreme Court clearly stated that the election commission need to add more document like photo identity card. Then you need to add uh, that Aadhaar card. Then the ration card should be added in additions to the 11 list. Okay. So dear student, this is all about the 17th July newspaper. So, dear student, if you find this discussion more helpful, so please like, comment, and subscribe to this channel, because your likes, your comment, your subscribes, and the view, they really motivate me to improve this discussion. And I am planning to start the discussion at 8 a.m. or before 8 a.m. from tomorrow, or within 1 or 2 days. So please be ready at 8 a.m. So I'll post the message in the group so that we can start immediate discussion. Okay, dear student, I'll have to end here. चलिए, बाय बाय, हैव ए गुड डे, टेक केयर.